and welcome to another episode of the Digitize Fully Charged Podcast. My name is Pam Curry. I'm joined as always by Niall Ridgway. And today's episode is with Jonathon Simons from Inventorz.com. Jonathon was an educator, now runs his own company, and he talks to us about that whole journey and the things that excite him, and his excitement and passion really comes over. Remember, if you're listening to the Digitize podcast, please take a screenshot, show us that you're listening, share it on social media. It makes a massive difference to us if people start to hear about the work that we're doing here with the podcast. Let's jump in. So let's jump into today's episode with Jonathon Simons, founder of Inventorz. Jonathon, I think you're the best person just to introduce yourself to our audience. Could you just tell us a little bit about you and your journey as an educator and how you came to found Inventorz?
Okay, so really it's quite a varied journey. Originally, I was involved in adult education and teaching Jewish studies, and I got the bug. I was invited to teach in a local primary school, and I got the bug for teaching, and I qualified as a teacher.
Brilliant.
And I was asked to introduce technology into Jewish studies lessons, and the sort of person which I am is once I get given a task, I'll go to like the nth degree, and I had a focus. I wanted to go paperless, and I became a Google trainer and a Google educator and a Google coach, and I introduced 3D printing, and slowly that sort of took over what I was doing, and I was using all the coding and different things like that to really upskill and up-level the children in technology. Brilliant. And it just slowly, I wanted to originally start off training teachers. And then the pandemic hit, and all the big guys were out there training teachers and whatever. And I just pivoted, and I wanted to go back into coding and teaching students. So I'm mainly self-taught. And it just became a natural journey that I wanted to start out by myself. There's a point in education where you want to grow, and you can't grow beyond the confines of your classroom because there's a wider school community. And that got very frustrating for me. And I can't do the same thing twice. I have to always keep growing and building and doing more things. So I found that really difficult. So I started my own company in order to sort of be able to do what I wanted, really. And so basically, if I want to do something, I go ahead and buy it. So if I want to go into VR or like 3D printing, like Bamboo have released something called Cyberbricks at the moment. I can say, I want to buy that and learn how to use it, and then teach it over to the students.
Absolutely.
So that's sort of like my journey from sort of, I just outgrew the classroom, but still love working with children.
Of course.
But couldn't work within the system. I just struggled with
That's
it.
it.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
That's what I was going to pick up on there. Like, it's the system, isn't it? It's not so much the schools themselves or the leadership teams in schools. It's the whole system, isn't it? That causes these kind of frustrations, I suppose, for people like us.
There's too many stakeholders, and everybody thinks and including myself, everyone thinks they know the best way to do what to do. And there's can be politics and pressure and whatever. And I always say, like, moving a school or getting a school to change direction is like moving a tanker. It's just, so difficult. And the politics also just got too much of working in a school. And you just want to be able to grow and do something. And really, at the end of the day, as an educator, you want to show the children that you're excited about learning, because if you're excited about learning, that rubs off on the children. And if you're sort of constantly constrained, it can be incredibly frustrating. And it was it got too frustrating for me. And it was just easier to go than it was to stay. And it was a sort of soft. I already started doing some coding clubs in order to raise money to buy equipment. So I worked because I worked in a faith school. In a faith school, it's a bit different, is that you have your main curriculum and you have your faith subjects. And so with the best will in the world, they all work very well together, but they're sort of two schools within a school. And my situation, I was very blessed, is that the school, as long as I kept stuff in my classroom and the kids were learning and the kids were happy, everything was okay. But as soon as you sort of started, the kids got excited and they wanted to do it in their mainstream classes as well, and then it sort of starts ruffling feathers. And then it got a bit, and then I sort of wanted to make my dream was to go paperless, because I wanted to save the school money, and I also felt it was genuinely good for the children as well. And once that happened, you were sort of really putting your head above the parapet. And that was the challenging bit. And in the end, it was. I realized I pushed as far as I could.
At that point,
I didn't have years. I'm a little bit older, but like I didn't have years to push and wait for other people to sort out the politics. And in the end, I was proven right. But I was doing all this pre-pandemic. So when the pandemic came around, funny enough, because I'd set up Google Classroom and all these different things, all I had to do was set up the rest of the school. So I came under, I remember being brought into the headmaster's office and told, you're 10 years in advance. And within 6 months, there was a pandemic. and
Jonathan, did you have a kind of smug feeling about you when you're that stage?
Must have done.
I can't say that, but like, it's. I'm very much is that you use technology as a tool. It's like a pencil case. So you bring out the right tool for the right thing. So sometimes writing is much better and much quicker and much more efficient. But the irony of what it was is for us is that we gave the parents the choice of either going online or written. But the advantage for me, because I create all my own materials, is that I was doing both. So I was doing the online stuff and could also provide the written materials as well. So I was sort of had both. But it was challenging.
Absolutely.
I think that pandemic time, though, for people like us, so I guess, Jonathan, I'd say you and Niall and myself and people like us, we've probably been at the leading edge of technology integration. Like, I don't know if you'd call us trailblazers, but we've been kind of ahead of the curve in some ways, would you think? So I suppose when the pandemic hit, it did kind of validate the things that we'd been trying to do, and it gave a context, I suppose, for everyone else to kind of understand why it was important. So I think there's a lot of what you said there kind of resonates with me as well during that time where, we were working with a local authority and we just happened to roll out Chromebooks just before the pandemic hit. So every child in the authority had a one-to-one device, and Google Classroom was implemented and ready to go, and it was almost like you kind of could have predicted it was coming or something, and it was just quite a powerful moment, wasn't it?
I mean, for me, it's sort of, I remember as a child, I was always a very cautious learner. I just remember always being nervous and worried a lot of the time. And so when I went into teaching, I wanted to make almost like a smorgasbord of ways for the kids to learn. So we could work on a traditional sense. So if argument's sake, we learned in, so we say, a traditional way, which is very textual. But at the end, I would have created a video which sort of encompasses what we'd learned. So even if the kids didn't get the, shall we say, the textual side of thing of what I was asking, because it was quite high level what I was asking children to do, is they would have another way of understanding. And I think as well is if you show a passion for learning, I think it was really with technology as well, you've got to teach children to be lifelong learners. And that learning never stops. I always say to my kids, I'm still basically at school. And if you show the children that you're excited by learning and that maybe you don't have the answers to everything. I mean, some of my best students are ones that I've had from the start, and they're very young. I mean, some of them have started off with 10 and now they're like 13 and we actually, when I work with them, we're working together. Because they've done so much with me, is that when we start something new, is literally we're doing the R&D together, and sometimes it's them when I'm saying, I can't do this, I give up, and they're going like, no, try it this way. So you're creating, I don't know what they call it, I don't think they call it a stage on the stage and all that sort of stuff, but like,
that's right, guide on the side.
Where I fall in love with learning is that you've created a partnership with your students, and we're learning together, and that's sort of the aha moment for me. And you sort of sometimes forget, I forget, when you're starting off with students, you're bringing them up to a level that they're independent learners and inquisitive. It takes a lot, and I'm not successful in every case. But you want them to be excited by what they're doing.
And do you know how you put it? I think you put it really beautifully, actually, in your form where we ask you questions in prep for the interview. You said, if you teach children the tools, they'll do the creativity. And I think that just sums it up really nicely, doesn't it? That whole idea of you've got a toolkit, you've got the ability to learn, and the creativity follows from there. Do you think it's something that, I don't know, educators as a profession find challenging, that shift from being the font of all knowledge, the person at the front of the room who tells things and instructs, to that shift to coaching? Really is what we're talking about here, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is things are going so fast.
Yes.
And I really treat a lot of my classrooms as test beds. And I get where people are coming from, because we're expected to stuff so much information into children at a younger and younger age. And you can only do that for so much. You need to have a broad and varied education. I think that's always important, otherwise you'll never know if you like something or
not.
Absolutely.
So you need to have that broadness. But like I said, I always use the correct tool for the correct job. I always made a big point of, whenever I was taking videos in my class, I used to use, I remember what the app is soon, but it had a class flow that was in it. Class Dojo.
Oh yeah.
What was good about that is I hated the
well.
idea of writing reports. What I did is I videoed my classes.
Yeah.
So the parents got to see what the children were doing, because you ask the kids what they did at school that day.
Oh
yeah.
And you're like, you're sweating bricks as a teacher to try and make it the most exciting class, and they go, I don't know what we did.
Yeah.
So I did that in order that to bring the parents into the classroom. In faith schools, a lot of the time they're community schools, so you meet the parents socially much more, and it's a very different challenge because you're never really off. But it's I sort of relish that in many ways, because you can then sort of, the kids, I don't know, maybe falling in the playground or they were upset about something, it's very easy to get in touch with the parents, sort of say, how's Billy, how's Bobby, what are they doing, how are they getting on, I heard there something went wrong, or they had a problem, are they feeling okay now? But the class stream over there was just excellent, because you'd write these reports at the end of the year and it'd be like, he's done well in this subject, he's okay in that, and whatever. But like, if you don't see it, it's so much more powerful. There was so many video. It used to be called, was it Flip or Microsoft?
Yeah.
They called it something else now.
And then
Flipgrid, that was it. And it was just excellent. It was just excellent. And I think with a lot of the things for the kids, it's training. It's the training that takes the time. One of the big things I found, which was amazing, when we were in the pandemic, we had to teach. Well, I was lucky because I did it all beforehand.
Sure.
When we're using Google Classroom, you have the chat in the stream there. When we first do it, it's all too quick for kids. Are all
there's
writing
hundreds.
by We Like Man. We're in Manchester. There's Man United versus City. And they're writing all sorts of things, and it's going crazy, and whatever. It can get quite heated. But then you sort of you block them and you say, look, let's learn how to speak in a work environment, because it's not a text where you're texting to your friends. We're in a work environment now. And it was so amazing then to see that kids were asking each other questions. They were supporting it. They shared work into there, and other kids were sort of being very supportive and saying that, how did you do that? And it was a really but it's that education that's there, and you have to allow for mistakes. Schools, I think, are very frightened to allow for mistakes, and I understand why that is, because it's too much.
There's a finite time as well for their education. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and there's too much reputation on the line. Sadly enough, not all parents are as sane as they should be, and you can end up. A school can end up in a. If I could tell you half the stories, which I won't tell you half the stories of things that happened to me, that eventually just sort of like, why do I do this if this is what I get? And yeah. I mean, it was frustrating. It was a very lonely journey. The journey for technology. Sure. Obviously, I was 10 years in advance and all those sorts of other things, but it's very much the comments that you get around you. One of the most frustrating things is, I've had it before, where you're trying to teach in a room and you're trying to teach and it's quite difficult.
Yep.
And you have another member of staff that can sort of say, well, I don't get it. I don't understand. It's like, and you're there like, you're supposed to be setting an example as an educator. That learning is lifelong, and so it's trying to encourage, and it's such a big deal to introduce technology, because you've got to have the parents on board, you've got to have management on board, you've got to have the staff on board, and it's creating an atmosphere. And the places which I've seen and been to which are successful, they've created like this atmosphere.
Yes, absolutely. And do you feel a change now? I mean, I know you're not sort of in school right now, but you're still working with young people. You still got contact with parents in schools. Have you noticed a shift? Because like things like policy and the media and AI, I suppose, and the widespread uptake of that, have they changed attitudes? Because I feel like there is a bit of a change happening where, you mentioned digital and you don't get the kind of I don't feel like you get the resistance that we might have done, 5 years ago. What's your take on that? Do you feel a difference?
I mean, I work in this area, and I think a lot of the people which I'm around are very, very pro and moving in that direction. Yeah, and I think. I think it's just this. I've always said it is that, let's say if I say to anyone, teach, like a non-teacher, teach an English class, is they could probably get away with teaching something.
Sure.
Yeah.
When it comes, because you've got a frame of reference.
Yeah.
When it comes to technology, that's much harder, and so the resistance is much greater. I think there is a slow roll towards that. But everybody has their own methods and ways, and so like what works in one school may not. Schools as well. Just because I work in lots of different schools, I work with special needs kids. I work in mainstream schools. I go literally anywhere and anywhere, and just each school is different. You can go to a school and it's like you can't even plug in your computer to the projector because they're still using VGA or whatever.
VGA,
HDMI, and then you're sort of no one's going to be interested in teaching if the technology doesn't work. It's a big. My stuff works because I make sure that I've done all the setup. There's sometimes just so much. There's so much going on. There was a person that taught me originally, and he said like having iPads without infrastructure is like having shiny taps with no pipes leading to them. They don't do anything. And so there's so much that's involved, and it's really. I think the problem with what I was doing, I was working from the bottom up, and it was you have to have it from management down. But like as a collaborative, it really is a collaborative thing to give space to people to learn and at their own level, not like sort of non-negotiables, but like let's have a look at some technology and see how we can integrate it into your classroom, if at all, because sometimes it may not be appropriate for that thing. Like I said, is that I was very big when it came to the class stream on Class Dojo, was to have craft out so the kids were using their hands, because that's also an important skill which is going by the wayside. But also the computers as well, because sometimes the computer's faster and you just have to. So it was like literally another thing that that you'd have on the table, right? You'd have your colored pencils. There'd be a laptop that's sitting on the table, and the kid would grab the laptop when they were ready to use it.
The right tool for the right moment. Yeah.
And I found I did something called Hyperdocs. It's trademarked by somebody. It's not my own idea. It's definitely, but basically it was like a Google Doc with a grid, and it had lots of different activities in the grid with links.
Yep.
And so the idea is that the kids could learn independently, and then you would work with various groups. So you could do a craft with a small group while the others were working. And I just remember it was quite funny because I had an observation on that day. And what I'd done for the children is I'd showed them an extension in Google. It was like Read or something like that, before the immersive readers counts years ago.
Sure.
But it was an app that would read what was on the page.
Sure.
And I said to the advanced kids, whether I was right or wrong to say that, the advanced kids, you just read it. But for the other kids, if you need some help, I'll show you. You just select the text you want to read, and it will read the text for you.
Yeah.
And I remember I came round on the carousel, and in order to go through this document with them, to go through this text with them, and I had the observation there, and the kids were teaching it to me because I just quickly browsed through the text.
Great, yeah.
And they were already predicting my questions and giving me the answers, because what they'd all done is played. I got them headphones and everything they needed, and they'd already listened to the text. And it was something, because I was just starting out. I didn't think about it. It gave them a chance to get to have access to high-level documents.
Yes.
Because yourself, you get tired if you're reading something.
Absolutely.
And a kid especially, it's like a few pages of text.
Yep.
That's really hard. But if they just know they need to select the text and they can have it read to them.
Absolutely.
It was such an eye-opening moment, and I felt quite foolish there being the teacher, because they already knew it. They were teaching it to me, and I'd put it all together, and it was just one of those sort of like the funny moments. Which I was proven right, even though I wasn't trying to prove myself right.
Love that.
You learn so much from
a humbling moment,
and they. It was training. I think a lot of it was training for them, and they looked forward to it. And you as teachers, we don't want things to flop. And I know for myself, is I prep and do loads of R&D and on everything I do. And it's just one of those things I don't like to. I like to be very heavily prepared. But like, just sometimes the things that they come out with and what they can do. I mean, I showed them how to use slides. Like I said before in the form, is that I'm not the most creative person, but if I give you the tools, use your creativity. Everyone has different talents. So their talent in, I don't know, design could be much, much better than mine. And in fact, I had something that one of the kids made. They made like a Lego story, and I still used that for a few years afterwards, because it was so much better than anything I could make. And I had parents complaining that their children were doing their homework too much, because they got onto the computer. Because they wanted them to go out and whatever. And this kid was spending till late at night making this presentation. And it's just sort of like, oh, okay, well, look, there's worse complaints.
I know. They're interested.
But it's finding the key to each child. Some children, it's like, I don't want any of this computer stuff. I just don't want it. It doesn't work for me. And it's the same as adults, same as children. You have to everyone has their own personality. And what they're like. I mean, I still do. I run summer clubs, and just sometimes parents send the kids, and you can tell they're not interested in robotics, but then you can see, they're really good at art or something like that. So you're trying to find
those hooks,
something for them to do, because if we all like the same things, it'd be boring.
You've mentioned a lot of things about kind of Google Workspace tools, and you mentioned right at the start as well that you had your Google certifications as well. How much have they played an impact in your teaching career and in your ability to support others.
What's amazing about the ed tech community is, one, it's quite small, and it's been in the fact that sort of, shall we say, the main players, and in general, just the amount of support that was out there to get going. It's hard. I wouldn't say it was easy, but like the kindness and support. I mean, GTech was they were a supplier of computing equipment, and I just was met with them, and they do a thing where they supplied a set of Chromebooks for a month, which allowed me just to get going and just to try that out. That was quite a few years ago now, but then the Google certifications, you met people and you're dealing with people in the industry, and then you also see how they grow. There are people that I started, they were just doing some training for Google, and now they're running their own businesses. And you want to always be around people that are growing. And I think you see that, and the way technology has changed as well, especially like things like LinkedIn, is you end up talking to the CEO of a company. And you can talk to them directly. And I remember speaking to someone from Book Creator, and I just said like something about what happened in class that day. I just said, I just want to thank you for creating such an amazing tool. And it was nice. Just I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted to say it's just amazing. And it's having that community. I think before I did the education stuff, all the certifications, I had a good idea what was going on, because people helped me on the way up. I was never an alone. It was never an alone process. Even now, a few weeks ago, I'm someone you should definitely have on the show, Dave Leonard. Just absolutely support and help. Well, he doesn't have to do that. And so very much like I've learned from them, and I try and support people on the way up. There's my business partner says to me, there's enough business for everyone. You know what I mean? There's enough. There's enough for everyone, and you know what? You help and you can work together. You never we always encourage like app smashing and all this sort of stuff. Well, I don't know, business smashing will be kind of right thing, but like it's just is why reinvent the wheel? Let's try and do something together, and build something. That I think that's what one of the other organizations I'm working with as well is just they're into bringing educators together in order to grow. And I think that's Google tried very hard and did very well with bringing a community of people. I know you had Eric. Is it Eric Kurtz? I had a quick look through your shows beforehand to see who was on, and just someone like him, just the kindness to set up a website and just to give different ideas.
He's got his newsletter and you know,
I gave when I left my school, I gave them everything, all my materials, everything that I had, because I'm firmly believe half the time as teachers we're sort of wasting our time reinventing the wheel, and then they're like, you've got no time to be creative. I remember there was a program which I had to teach, and I went to another school, and I remember when this curriculum first came out, they said no more planning for teachers. All the lesson plans are here. Everything is here. You just open the book on page 1 and you go through the materials. And so you've no waste of time. So that means as a teacher, you can quickly look through the plans and then, maybe I can augment that in some way and make it a lot better. And I went to this other school and they said, where are your lesson plans? I said, well, this is the book. This is the lesson plan. Because, well, you have to put it into our system. I was like, well, how am I supposed to do that? It said copy and paste. I'm like, why am I sitting here?
What is the point?
Copying and paste? Someone spent hundreds of thousands of pounds creatively, a lot more than that, creating a curriculum to save teachers time, and I'm sitting here copying and pasting, and it was lunacy, absolute lunacy, and
bureaucracy for bureaucracy's sake.
And it was, but it was no point. And I think I wrote as well the advantage with the technology was the amount of feedback you could give students. Because Okay, students. I think students still want to know ticks and crosses just because they want to know where they stand. One thing I learned from students is they need to know where they stand, and if that's a ranking and you can gamify it, that's okay. You can make right. They need to know where they stand, but in order to improve, you have to give that sort of meaningful feedback, and one of the advantages of just another brilliant company as a tool, especially for teachers that may be frightened to make the jump, is Kami.
Kami
gave me so, as a company, absolutely so much support. That they have a hero program, and you go into that and you can learn their stuff, but they're just for teachers that are frightened to go into technology, is if you've got a PDF of what you've created. So if I'm going to take all my worksheets created from scratch, you can up level that which you've already created and have, let's say, video examples within them, how to do something. You can have the children respond with a video, and it just is it's a friendly, I call it a friendly way into technology in the classroom. Where and it's all advantages, it's all in one place. So you're not sometimes you have problems when you're trying to get different apps to work together. But in general, just I think really what you were going back to is that because we've sort of really got what we'll call it three main systems. We've got Microsoft, Google, and I forgot what the other one's jumping into my head. It's just jumped out of my head already. Oh, Apple, obviously Apple. I forgot them. Less said the better. Is that I was device agnostic, so I literally went through all of them. I tested them all before I settled on Google. And it's just that advantage of giving introducing that technology into the lessons, and it's they're all working. So what I meant to say is they're all working together now. So everything is so much more streamlined.
Yeah, because everything's in the cloud. Yeah.
Well, there's that, and in fact, there's for a lot of apps now. There's a Google import to classroom.
Yes.
There. So you can do all of that stuff, which wasn't there originally. It was a few steps. And it's just, I don't know, what's it called? Homogenizing. It's sort of bringing all those things together.
And user interface design as well. So like the three dots, that's becoming those three dots.
The hamburger.
The hamburger, the three dots, the waffle. They're becoming they're becoming like they're now ubiquitous almost.
It's in our lexicon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess that helps, doesn't it? It helps with the user experience, and you know. I guess.
I mean, the kids pick it up. I think you had Dean Stokes on before. About digital natives, and I remember that because it was like one of the key things is you don't want kids to be consumers. I want them to be creators, and that's sort of why when I've been looking, anything I've been doing is been looking at how kids can create. So VR for me, which I'm sort of looking into at the moment. I'm working with a great company called Mesh.
Right.
And they're training me because it's still quite a new technology. They use something called Gravity Sketch.
Okay.
And
what is that?
That's used. So it's basically a design program. So similarly, like you would have something like Tinkercad for 3D design in primary school and Onshape and all these different things. This is for creating in the 3D space.
Okay.
And so let's say sneaker companies use it. I can tell I've been talking to Americans. It's sneakers.
Is that?
Or Plimsolls. I don't know what it is. But Adidas and Nike use it. And I spoke. There's another advantage of technology is that you're worldwide. I spoke to someone in the States, and they're doing a project with Nike, and in order to because a lot of kids were into sports, but I think it was like 0.001% get into professional sports. But they go the whole way, and then they're not continued their education. So what the idea with this initiative was to teach kids maths and design skills and all those sort of different things whilst they were doing their sports. And they worked with Nike, or Nike. I don't know which one it is.
I would say Nike, but
it's some god, isn't it? I don't know. So you have to go by whatever that is. And so one of the things was trainer design, but basically you're creating in a virtual space. So you're learning those tools, and then you have a virtual room as well, so you can have meetings and all sorts of things. So everything to do with this, I think what I want to do is prepare my students for the world that we're going into.
Sure.
And one, I'm hopefully setting an example by being excited and trying all these new different things.
Yes.
But as well is have a go at the technology. You don't know what will stick as far as these things. And just with VR, there's two ways you can do. You can have, I had Google come in when they did Google Expeditions years ago.
Yeah.
It was amazing. They went like into an aquarium and you can see all the fish and you can go around like a Roman town, and it's very good as a virtual expedition, and it's amazing and it has a place. But I wanted to make something and do something and design stuff, and there's just so many brilliant things out there. And I'm sharing a lot of things because I believe in sharing, because we can move together faster.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like you can sit there and spend months and months doing research, or you can have someone say, look, this one I found quite good for this and this reason.
Yes.
And maybe follow this route, and it's what I've discovered. And then you've got a future collaborator. And I think it's if you try it, and I've seen that so much in the technology community. There's a passion to work together and to really. I always find it funny as a teacher. They say you say kids all the time. I realize that instead of students, that's sort of interchangeable, because you're giving what you can. And I remember when I started as a business, someone said to me, "Are you an educator or a teacher?" And I was like in my head, teacher, because a teacher is not necessarily interested in making money. They want the students to grow and to learn. And I've always had that dichotomy in me. It's like, I found this really cool thing and I think it's really important that you learn this, and let's make it and let's do it. But like maybe the business plan isn't necessarily behind it. But I think it will come if you believe. I think what I found working in business and leaving the classroom is if you chip away and you keep going and you try your best to provide what you think is important, and so much so I've been very lucky with some of the schools I've worked with to be given a space in the school. We do robotics competition, they host the competition, and we will sort of work symbiotically together in order to fulfill each other's goals. So they need to have someone to deal with computing. I want to teach, I want to follow my dreams. I mean, some of the kids with the robotics, I mean, I always say I wish I could teach robotics, because half the time it's teamwork and giving yourself tasks and targeting what they have to do. It's all the social skills. Yeah,
there's a lot going on in the background,
and there's so much. And even online, people say, technology is less social skills. There's probably more, because I think we've all fallen foul of creating a joke on WhatsApp, thinking it's funny that they're realizing that perhaps it was either falls flat or can be read as very, very offensive. And you end up having a fallout with someone. Like, I never meant that. I'm very careful. I don't joke on WhatsApp or any of these things, because you don't know what somebody else.
You can't get tone across. In that short space of just text.
And it's dangerous, and that's a lesson in itself. What with WhatsApp and parents, even it could be quite challenging sometimes.
Sure.
I'm very open. I do, because I'm my own business. I do use WhatsApp with parents, and it's been quite. I put some rules in already to get going, but it's for us. You think about it. This technology came about. We were never taught like how to behave on it, and we've learned by mistake. And I want to pass that over to children so that they get to learn and they get to know more.
You mentioned in there you've got your business as well. I'd love to hear a bit about that. Where did the name Code Inventorz come from? What is it that you do, and how do you support others?
Right. So originally it started off as EdTech Maven. I was originally supposed to start, because I was doing the Google stuff and the Google Coach and Google Educator. I wanted to train teachers, because like I said originally, I was, as a child, was a very frightened learner, and I always felt I needed more support and it wasn't forthcoming. So I wanted to do the same for teachers. And the pandemic came, and after the pandemic there was a lot of teachers that said, like, No, we just done with this for the minute, and it wasn't a fault of technology. It was because of infrastructure wasn't there in order to do it. And so I started with like clubs and so on and so forth, and then I was told, it's not very kid friendly, the title.
Fair.
So I was like looking for something, and I was like panicking. I was just trying to find something, and I decided on Code Inventorz because I wanted the idea of that there was coding and computing. But at the same time, I wanted that idea of innovation as well. Is that we're not just doing computing. I want to build stuff. I want to make things. I want to just really be creative, and the Z was just to get the .com. It wasn't like and to be able to get. I think I bought all the different permutations of it.
Yeah,
but it was just there so I could get the .com. Yeah, and it was just designed to make it a bit more friendly. So I was very lucky. I got to test what was out there already, and I found teacher training for me wasn't the way to go.
Yeah,
and I was teaching in the class at the time, and my business coach said to me, like you only have to get a few more jobs, and you've done what you've covered your teaching, and what you were getting for teaching. And I thought, well, why not? Let's go the whole way and do it. And it's just. It sort of built from there, and I've sort of normally what I originally intended the company to do was to do day events, which was sort of going back to now. So I'd go in for a day, or I'd get somebody else to go in for a day and run a day program. But that's quite scary to do because you're constantly trying to find.
Yeah.
And in the end, I started doing clubs. Yeah, and but because I've got a large family, you can't just sort of leave your job and go into no man's. So I was very lucky or very blessed that I left teaching, but went straight into profit as a business because I'd had all those contacts from previously, from the years of doing all those Googles. It was like a very much like just like changing your coat. And I started building up with clubs, and what happened for me is that kids kept coming back. So a lot of people out there, they have 1 or 2 workshops and they're selling the entire time. But for me, the kids keep coming back. And which is a good thing, but you have to create new experiences for them. So then you're really everything. I try and do basically everything, all the microbit stuff, make code arcade, VR is a new thing, 3D printing, but then you have to have 20 projects, 30 projects because they've gone 3 years. And the challenges when you're doing clubs is to sort of level it correctly because some of the kids are really quite a bit more advanced. And it's amazing because normally you get if you'd have a person in for a day and they would they do one project, but the kids have been doing it, and then I'm very open to what they say. I think a CAD they can access anywhere. And I always say to the children is that the lessons here are a taster. All your real learning will be done outside of the classroom. It's not. And so because they have that access, and even kids that have been to the clubs, I leave access available because it's a free program, or to get them to sign up themselves, but they want their old designs and things like that.
They will do,
and it's just, I've just kept growing and growing and growing. So I'm just always, that's where VR came from. It was something which I thought was really, I think it's where a lot of companies are going. You're seeing a lot of training is being involved, but a lot of creativity and design. An industry is going that way. I mean, it's a totally different thing seeing something flat on a piece of paper and to have something which you can actually pick up. That's one advantage of the thing of Gravity Sketch. It's pick up, hold, examine, zoom in. There's a brilliant, I think it's called Adam Savage. You know Mythbusters?
No. Yes, from Mythbusters.
So Mythbusters is basically what it is. They come up with a myth. I don't know. I don't know if a tree falls in a forest and there's no one around, will it still make a sound? So, I don't know, they'll knock down a tree in a forest with no one around and see if it still makes a sound. So Adam Savage, funny enough, my original degree I dropped out was in model design. So it was like movie special effects and all these sorts of things. I didn't continue. I went into education in the end. I should, but all those art skills are coming back. And he has these immersive videos, and they had this lady on there that she makes 3D printed clothing, but because you're in the VR headset, you can actually lean in and examine the detail. It is absolute.
That's cool.
Incredible.
Yeah,
it's a different thing. So you can actually see how things were put together. They're filmed in immersive videos, so it's not, you're not in the room, but like you can sort of move in where you stand and where you sit makes a difference. And just for learning, it's absolutely superb because you can examine things very, very closely, but then obviously you can use that and then make your design. So I've had to improve along with my students because I'm totally self-taught. I remember when I studied abroad, I studied in Israel, and I came back not knowing really how to use a computer at all.
Right. Okay.
And I remember my first job was to create a certificate, and I was just like panicking. I was like,
how do I do that?
Create a certificate. But even for then, I always bought my own computer. I always had my own equipment in school. I never used any of the school equipment because I had to make sure everything worked. And so literally I had like the first iPad Pro, and my laptop was like the fastest laptop, so it would just open up and it would work straight away. And if there was a problem, I knew how to fix it. Whereas half the time, I get it, teachers have to call some technician somewhere, and he's only in on the third Tuesday of whatever noon is. And so you can't run an efficient classroom like that. So all the equipment was, I know it's fun, it used to be really funny is that whenever they used to show parents around the school, they used to bring them into my classroom and say, look, we're really involved in computers. And it's like, that was my 3D printer I bought, that was my thing, that was but it doesn't matter to me. It was like I had this thing, and I put it in the notes. I had a loyalty. I want to grow. When I'm part of something, I want to grow it. The excitement for me, be it with students or a business or a school as well, you want to grow it.
Yeah.
And it's just when you sort of, as I say, you try and break out. I've got my walls here. You try and break out of your walls. It's hard when you meet the outside world, and it's difficult for teachers. I
understand that,
and I see where people are coming from, and people have different levels of efficiency, ability. I mean, I did the bet shows with Cami, and I'd speak to a head teacher, and they would be like, I don't know what we use in school. And it's like, what do you mean you don't know what you use in school? What program? What have you got? What system? I don't know. I've got a computer guy for that, and it's sort of, for me, I have to, what's hard for me now as a business, because I'm growing, I've got other people working for me, I've got employees that know how to use it. I'm bringing together and developing the stuff, but they're teaching it in the classroom. And to teach it in the classroom is a whole different ball game to sitting in my four walls over here.
Lots of exciting things happening with the business. Expanding into different territories. I noticed in your notes that you're collaborating with a company abroad. What's the plans there?
I'm very, very lucky. I'm still, even though I'm a business person, I'm very naive in many ways. And what happened was I was talking to a company from abroad, just a robotics company from abroad. And they said, we happen to, a lot of the things you find with companies anyway, you find I can now pick what I like very, very quickly. Normally you can see, even if the product's good, if there's not a curriculum to go with it, it's like, it's an amazing product, but I don't see what I can do. And I was just talking to this company for a long time, and I wanted to get drones. That's another thing which I'm trying to get into. All these things. And I was just talking, general chat, and the beauty of, like, say, WhatsApp and all these things, you can just talk. And then one day they said, we've got a guy in Manchester. And I thought, they've got another teacher. I can work with another teacher. Nice. And it'd be really nice. And I'm not going to be alone. So I went, and it turned out that it was someone who was involved in education companies, or schools actually, across the Far East. And wanted to expand into the UK. And it was just, I've learned so much from him as just the business side of things. Very much, if you meet people like that are really not sharks. You know what I mean? Some people they're looking to build a team, looking to looking to really create opportunities. We're looking to expand into this country and to provide different opportunities, and really to collate all those sort of ideas and opportunities. So very much working with space is one of the things which are on the cards.
Oh, great!
And as well as space technology is up there. If you've ever gone on the website for the Mars rover and see how that's made, it's absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah.
What's out there. And have you seen the stuff with, like, for Venom, when they've actually made, the soup, they can actually make it out
that's
of,
cool.
not the actual thing, but it's like some sort of graphene or something. You can actually pull it and mold it and all these things.
Like the
technology is
stuff.
there. Yeah, it's like the goo. So just to have a place where all of that is available to students. And to have a workspace is because one of my things, I don't have a workspace. I go into schools, and to get and I think a base is very, very important to have. So hopefully we're looking to build a base in the UK and then to spread out and to give other opportunities to schools and to train teachers and to help them along. And because it's not just technology, I'm actually been involved in the classroom. We can support the teachers in the classroom as well, and really give that leg up to help. I think, I remember I trained as a coach. I was asked to do coaching, and I thought it was really funny because I was told to go, and they said to me, you've got to coach teachers now. So it's like, when am I supposed to coach them? And they said in your PPA time. And it's like,
but that's
how am I supposed to, like, you don't value it if you don't value it if you've talk about funny stories. I remember the first one I did is I had to speak to this teacher. And we were going through the procedures and whatever, and I wanted to help. And she just turned around to me and just vented, saying, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I'm just forced into this. It's not for me. And it's like, there's no coaching for you.
Sometimes.
No.
But actually, you probably provided a listening ear that was
what
that person needed in the moment. And we've discovered that as well, haven't we, Niall? We've been in training sessions where quite often you're kind of counselling someone's technophobia. You know what I mean? Jonathon, listen, it's been absolutely brilliant chatting to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Your energy and enthusiasm for passion, everything you do really comes over. And I love the kind of takeaways from this episode about kind of just saying yes to everything, collaborating with people, not seeing other businesses as competitors but as collaborators, and that is a massively important message. So thanks very much for sharing your experience.
So thank you.
And you also said in your form, if anyone else is thinking about starting up their own business, do it. And I think
do
it. So brilliant, Jonathon. Thank you so much.
Enjoy it. That's the main thing. Enjoy what you do.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, listen, let's keep in touch. And thank you so much for today's episode. It was really great to chat to you. Thank you. Thank you for staying to the end of another Digitize podcast. Remember, you can follow us on social media. We're at Digitize Crew. We're on all the platforms. We're on all the podcast places. It really means a lot to us if you could follow, if you could subscribe on YouTube, and if you could even share it with just one person. It would really mean a lot to myself and Niall. We'll see you again next time.